This is a simple sheet on that same Google Doc that I sent you guys that you have access to in the link for how to track their weight, what they're gaining, what you need to feed the pig per day and per feeding, and how many days there are to fair. So, this is a very simple spreadsheet. If you don't mess with the formulas, it should work pretty well. Uh, this this cell here is the date of our weigh-in at fair. So that will change each year based on when the weigh-in is. Then, in this row, you would put the weight and the date of your first weigh-in. Okay. Then each subsequent time you weigh your pig, you put the weight in and the date. And what that does is it says the number of days between weigh-ins, and then it shows your average gain for those days. And then you can put a target in. This column has a target, a weight of 275 pounds. So we would have, you could put this to whatever your target weight is. And then each column, when you weigh in, shows the number of days left to fair. So you can keep track of that as well. These ones show gibberish because I don't have a weight in the row, so it's messed up. But you can see Emily's pig, the first time we weighed it, was gaining 1.9 pounds per day. Then the next time we weighed it, which was 8 days later, in the middle of March, it had gained 2.4 pounds per day. Then the next time we weighed it, which is a week later, which was last week, it gained 2.14 pounds per day. Now, the information that's useful here is not so much this graph. Unless you weigh every day, this graph is going to be kind of useless because it's not going to really show a big drop. It's just going to slightly be steeper or flatter. But what you can see here is the information that we have here is that Emily's pig is probably not going to get to 275 pounds because we're not going to be able to get 2.6 pounds per day in the intervening 38 days. It's just not going to happen. And we don't need to do that. She's going to weigh in at 240 pounds or so probably. And then, but if you were pretty much closer, if you were like at 2.2, 2.1, you would then know that if you're ration feeding, you want to feed it roughly 5 pounds a day and 2.5 pounds per feeding to get to that target weight. And then, if you were doing that, when you get your next weight, if it was lower or higher, you could try to adjust that feeding either up or down to manage that weight gain. So this is a really easy sheet to use to keep track of your pig's weights and do some of the math for you without having to keep it on a sheet of paper someplace.